people that are willing to shout out to the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. It says, they shouted, Lord, Son of David, have mercy on us. The crowd rebuked them and told them to be quiet. Oh, I get this. Everywhere I've gone for 28 years, it's like, Christine, don't be so full on. Could you just be a little bit more quiet? To just keep this Jesus thing under wraps a little bit. Just don't act like it's really transformed your life. Don't act like you're really saved. Don't act like you really believe what the Bible says. Could you just tone it down a bit? Could you just stop embarrassing us? Could you just be a little bit quiet? Because the naysayers, they've always tried to do that to desperate people. Could you not embarrass us? Could you be quiet? Could you put your Jesus in a little box? We'll talk about what we want to talk about. We'll yell about what we want to yell about. But you little Christianettes, please just hide yourselves in a little box. And if you're a Christian, please do not act too desperate. Do not act like you actually want God to move in your life. Could you stay in your religious box? Could you come and listen to your sermonettes, do your little pirouettes, and then go home and eat your lunch and just do your little deal? Could you just go through your routine? The naysayers, the crowd is always going to tell you, please be quiet. Please tone down your Christianity. Please tone down your faith. Please tone down your expectations. The crowd's always done that. But I love this response because I think I've got a bit of the spirit of these blind men in me. It says, but they shouted all the louder. But they shouted all the louder. I wonder if I've got some desperate people in this room tonight that are willing to shout all the louder. That are willing to be desperate for God to move in your circumstance. Lord, Son of David, have mercy on us. Jesus, stop. I told you freedom starts with a shout. When you are so desperate, desperation is a gift from God. When you no longer care what Sister Gertrude and Sister Mary care about you, or Brother John or Brother Fred, whoever. When you no longer care about the crowd, when you no longer care about the religious hierarchy, when you no longer care about what the person next to you thinks, you think, you know what? I'm going to shout louder because right now I can't see and I want to see. Right now I'm not free and I want to be free. Right now I need some hope. I need some answers in my marriage. I need some answers in my workplace. I need some physical healing in my body. I want some answers. So he says, Jesus, stop. A shout will always stop Jesus. He's walking through and he's looking for some desperate people. The Bible says a large crowd followed him, but it was the shout of two blind men that stopped him. You know, there's a whole lot of people that are following him, but I want to stop him in his tracks and go, I'm desperate. I'm desperate, Jesus. And look what Jesus asked, and this is the heartbeat of what we're doing around America at this moment. Jesus says, what do you want me to do for you? What do you want me to do for you? Because see, some of us, we haven't got a clue. Jesus said, well, what do you actually want me to do? We're here on a Thursday night in Nashville, Tennessee. What do you want me to do for you? We've gathered together. What do you want me to do for you? What is it that you need? Because you've got my attention. You've shouted it. You're desperate. And I'm asking you, what do you want me to do for you? Which seems like a ridiculous question. Because, Lord, they answered, we want our sight. Yeah, there's a lot of people in bondage and blind, either spiritually or emotionally or physically. You really have never wanted to be free. You've really never wanted to see. Because with freedom comes responsibility. When you see, you can't unsee. And so a lot of times we just prefer to sing to God in our blindness rather than say, you know what? I want to be free. God, I want to deal with my stuff. Father, I want this addiction broken. I want this negativity over my life broken. I've walked with shame and guilt and condemnation for too long and I want it broken. This challenge in my marriage that's just been there for you. God, I want to confront it and I want it broken in my life. This stuff that I've been struggling, you know what? Lord, I want to see. I want to see. God's asking his church, what do you want me to do for you? What do you want me to do? Healing? I can do that. I'm God. Deliverance? I can do that. Restoration? I can do that. Reconciliation? I can do that. It's what God does. He says, I don't care how impossible your circumstance is. You're physically blind. What do you want me to do for you? They said, we want to see. And I love this part. It says, Jesus had compassion on them. Every miracle that Jesus did in the scriptures, emotional, physical, or spiritual, was preceded with the fact that he had compassion. And that word compassion in the Greek, I won't say it even though I am Greek. Thank you, my big fat Greek word. Give me a word, any word, any word. Anyway, so the point is, it means it's an intense emotion from your guts. We've had a passionless Christianity for way too long. Somehow we think if it's just intellectual, it's real. No, Jesus had compassion. It came from his gut. He felt it. He wanted people to be free. You're allowed to feel stuff from your gut. It's in there. It's in the scripture. And it says, he had compassion on them and touched their eyes. Immediately, they received their sight and followed him. He had compassion and he touched. Jesus is moved by your circumstance and he wants to touch your circumstance and bring healing. And he still does that today. You are not worshiping some distant God. You're worshiping a God that's here in the midst of us. And he's here tonight. Where 2 or 3 are gathered, there's slightly more than that here. And when God turns up, anything can happen. Blind eyes can open. Deaf ears can open. Bodies can be healed. Emotions can be healed. It's what happens when Jesus turns up. He's just looking for a generation that are not going to only shout, but they're going to shout louder. Because any miracle is preceded by a shout. And God's looking for a generation of desperate people that will declare, I believe in miracles.